intended to be able to, you're supposed to be able to do it at your own speed, go through the information, ask us questions, ask us, have a dialogue about what your concerns are, what you like, what you don't like, and to help so that we can take in everybody's comments and try to find a solution that balances the needs of everybody.
If I might, I've listened to what you had to say in terms of the manner in which you desire to do it. And a couple of things are disturbing, and one is what you just said, which suggests the way in which we need to receive information, or how we choose to receive information by going around, when it is clear that that's not the way that these people who've gathered in this room wish to receive the information about this issue. I'm not speaking, no, but I speak for some of us.
That's right.
And that's his point. Everybody should get an opportunity to speak for themselves. Some of us don't like any of the options that you have placed before us. And to say which is the least restrictive or which is the most beneficial when you have narrowed the selection between 5th Street and 9th Street and haven't gone as far over to Union Station as you can or 15th Street as you can, but you've isolated your focus on this narrow neighborhood, and we don't want bike lanes here.
My name is Frank Wiggins. I'm the ANC Commissioner for 6003. I wanted to be put on record that in addition to the people that you see here, we have 1,146 signatures.
Is that 1,146? I like the long way.
1,146 signatures that I can give to DDOT as a written record of those who do not want bike lanes coming down 6th Street.
Do you have a copy of those signatures?
I do have a copy. I do have a copy.
No, these will not be put in the trash. I promise you that. These will not be put in the trash.
Got a question.
So this some of the
when
ones
DDOT officials speak, will you give your name for the record, because we don't know who you are?
Absolutely. I said before, my name is Sam Zimbabwe. I'm the Associate Director for Planning at DDOT. So like I said, we do not have a formal presentation prepared. We can provide a brief overview, but the detail is on the information on the posters around the room. We are very happy to talk exhaustively with anybody in this room.
What about the whole group? Please don't go one-on-one with us. Can you talk to the whole group? Everybody wants to hear. This is going to affect all of us, not one-on-one.
Okay. So I'll give you a brief overview of everything that's around the outside. This is not all of the detail. I'm not going to be able to explain every detail that's out here. So let's start with why we're looking at why the study started and where we are in the process. So one of our goals, or I guess one of our primary goals at DDOT is to allow people to move around the city safely and efficiently by all modes. So trying not to prioritize one mode over the other, but allow people to safely and efficiently move around the city by all modes. When we look at the bicycle network and how people move around the city by bicycle, this is a bit of a gap in the network. There's no connected, continuous facility from Florida Avenue in the north down to Constitution Avenue in the south, once you get to the east of 11th Street. So we identified this study area as a place to look at how to make that happen, how to make safe and convenient bike facilities while avoiding or minimizing the impact to anybody else that's using the streets. We started out with the full universe of options looking between 4th Street and 9th Street Northwest. We started to narrow down those alternatives based on things that where we felt like there were intractable problems. We started talking to folks. I think Darren has been at over 40 meetings with stakeholders and communities, including United House of Prayer, other congregations in the area, people throughout, groups throughout the area. This is the first time that we've had this kind of broad public open house to share what we've learned and where we are right now. There are 4 options that we're looking at. And there's a 5th option, which is to do nothing. The 4 options are. Let me say this. Let me say this. Right. So let me say this. I'll repeat this. Whenever we can. Right.
The 5th option is not on the paper.
That's right. So what we're trying to. What's that?
She's working on it.
Right. We can repeat again. I'll repeat this again. So there are 4 options. There's a 5th option, which is to do nothing. We are not tonight. The purpose of tonight is not to vote on what your favorite is. All right. The purpose of tonight is to hear feedback, hear how we can refine any of the 4 options, hear what you like, hear what you don't like.
Any of the 5 options.
Any of the 5 options. That's right. Because some people might like the do nothing option. Some people might not like the do nothing
Can I
option.
just ask a question?
No, let me finish
Okay,
just for a second. Just if you allow me to say some brief words, and then I'll happily take your question. The 4 options. There's the 5 options. That's right. You guys are on me. The 5 options. The first one is to do nothing, right? So there would be no bike facility between Florida Avenue and Constitution Avenue. The first option is to look at a couplet, to look at northbound bicyclists on 5th Street and southbound bicyclists on 6th Street, on the west side of 6th Street. The second option is to look at, I'm going to get this wrong. The 2 is to separate so that 6th Street, cyclists on each side of 6th Street. The third option is all cyclists on the east side of 6th Street, 2-way on the east side of 6th Street. The third option is 2-way on the east side of 9th Street. Okay? We can explain this. They're on the boards around the room. I know when I say that, some of it doesn't you might have to look at it. Hold on one moment, please. And really, the reason why we wanted to have the format that we're trying to have is because some of this is complicated, and we want to be able to explain everything. As it's taken me a long time to figure out what's going on with this study, so we want to be able to explain to everybody that's hearing this for the first time what is going on. So from here, we will take feedback on these options, look at narrowing down, eliminating some, doing some more analysis to look at what the potential benefits and what the potential drawbacks would be of any of the options before recommending a preferred alternative. So the feedback tonight is we haven't gotten through all the information that we intend to do as part of this study. We're at the point where we're trying to understand community concerns. So we hear that there are community concerns. We want to get those in detail and as specific as folks can be about what they like and what they don't like. And I know that there's a lot of folks in this room that don't like any of the options. That's fine. You can tell us that you don't like any of the options. Again, we're not trying to have folks vote on tonight, and it's not as if the people in this room, their votes, we're going to go home and tally up. I got an envelope with 1,146 signatures with opposition to 6th Street. That's part of the feedback that we're taking. We're trying to understand who likes what, who doesn't like what, and how to balance the needs of everybody within this corridor. So I know there are some questions. Again, I will take 1 or 2 questions from in front of this full group. It's really hot in here. It's hot here. a lot of folks came who want to be able to delve into some of the information. So we're going to try to have that happen, and we'll try to answer the questions. We'll try to answer questions well. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Savante,
Yes, sir.
who in DDOT will make the decision on the 5 options and when?
That's a good question. So at the end of this study,
Could you repeat the question?
the question was who will make the decision and when. Who at DDOT will make the decision and when. So as we finalize these options, we'll look through them, look at the analysis that we get, and we'll make a recommendation. That recommendation, there's our director, and we'll make a recommendation to our director. He'll make a decision. Likely, we'll make a recommendation to the mayor. Ultimately, we all are executive agencies we represent an executive agency who work for the mayor. We don't have a timeline for when that decision will be made. It's working? All right. Now it's working. All right. So I don't have a timeline. We're trying to do the analysis that goes into that decision. We're trying to hear from folks. Our goal is to have a decision over the winter this winter. Over the winter this winter. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Zimbabwe. Glad you're out tonight. I'm from Kingland Park. You came out there with the same spiel, gave us the same story about these putting bike racks in front of St. Benedict. All over the city they're going, these bike racks are needless. You're ruining the subway system, you're ruining the bus system. We asked you to consider our request. We wrote numerous letters to you. You told us the same thing. We'll think about it and we'll get back to you. We're considering you. But we know, that's why I'm telling you tonight, I don't trust a word you're saying. It's not representative of this room, so I know you're not considering the wishes of the United Church of Christ. You should hold a second meeting there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So, as a longtime resident of this neighborhood, I've been here for about 8 years.
Excuse me. Hold on a second. Everybody just hold on 1 second. I would like to ask this evening that we keep the tone respectful. Respectful of everybody's opinions on all sides. All right? Everybody who came out here tonight has a valuable opinion, and an opinion that's not based on how long they've lived here or how long they haven't lived here. I'm sorry. I just would really like to ask this again. I would like to ask that everybody, whether you agree with the person who's speaking or whether you don't agree with the person who's speaking, allow them to speak. This is not a contest of who can cheer the loudest or again, we're not voting on one option or another. We're trying to hear feedback from everybody in this room. Okay, so I'm just going to ask that we keep the discussion respectful on all sides.
So let him speak. Let him speak.
This is our pastor.
Let him speak. Let him
This
speak.
gentleman was going to speak.
Apostle Green, let him speak.
And then let him speak, and then.
So I realize you guys have a very difficult task of balancing all these interests. And there's obviously a large group of people here who have a church and a long-standing community. There are also residents who live in the area and will be served by the bike lane, as well as those who live north and are trying to commute, and all these goals in transportation that the city is trying to reach. I just want to say that I'm glad that you presented these options, and I'm someone who would benefit, and there are also lots of people who would benefit who are not here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Apostle A.D. Cunningham. I'm the pastor of the United House of Prayer at 601 M Street, our national headquarters. There's 2 comments in particular I want to make. You just said something, I think DDOT, the mayor, missing the whole point when you say it's not about how long you have been here. we've seen displacement of other religious institutions that have been in throughout the Shaw area for sometimes 100 years or more. And because of these type of issues that come up, they have been displaced. And they have been here, so it is a concern about how long we have been here. Also, when I walk into this room, and I want to say, the United House of Prayer, we don't oppose bike lanes, we just don't want them on 6th Street. When I walk into this room and I understand about the paperwork and all of this, we understand this gives people a chance to vet and put things down. But this room is set up for us to walk around and choose one of the 3 alternatives that we would like. That's the way this room is set up. That's why the poster's on the wall. And we don't like any of them because we consider it a threat to our existence. Now, some people may look at that as being way outreach, but then you don't know the history. And then I would say this, it's not about, I love all my neighbors, how long they've been here or whoever they are, but our new neighbors have to understand. For instance, I'll give an example and I'll take a seat. If I was to move into the city and I decided to buy a condo located between 2 nightclubs, why would I call the police when they're making noise at night? Because I chose to live there. So I can't go in there expecting to change the culture of that neighborhood. I have to make adaptation or move somewhere else. So we don't oppose bikes. I love bikes. I wouldn't ride on the street though. I'd rather go to the park, a bike trail. But however, we just don't want it on 6th Street, and we don't believe your study have looked at all of the viable options. We have not been convinced of that.
My name is Rochelle Magra. I'm Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner for ANC 6004. I represent the 1100 block of 6th Street Northwest, and I understand the church is about parking, and I hear that. But one of the concerns that I want to direct with DDOT that my constituents have brought up is the elimination of a lane. No matter what plan, that is a concern because of traffic that can back up. No, we're not just talking about Sunday. I'm talking about days of the week when things happen at the convention center. So I get the bike lanes, I get the parking, but no one really is talking about the elimination of a lane no matter what plan, and that is a concern for my constituents. So I need you to clearly think about that because I'd hate to have bike lane up here and then have a worse problem with fewer parking spots, right? Fewer parking spots and bigger traffic backup. So.
All right, so both of those are both the last couple comments are important comments. And frankly, we're not at the point yet in this study to be able to tell you what the impacts would be of the changes that we're looking at. And we're really, so again, these are the types of comments that we're trying to gather and hear from folks about what their concerns are, what they like about options, any of the 5 options, or what they don't like. And so really that's our intention tonight, is to be able to hear those types of comments. I see a lot of hands going up, and it may be that we have to go through and hear from folks that want to speak in this big group. I know there are also a lot of folks who may not feel comfortable speaking in a large group like this, but still want to have their voices heard tonight. So I'm going to try to take a few more questions. And then I would like to be able to have some of the small group discussion, hear what people have to say, and have people be able to ask questions in a smaller group, just because not everybody feels comfortable in this venue. You, sir.
I don't feel comfortable either, but I will speak out. I love bikes. I have a brand new full carbon fiber Fuji, Altamara, all that stuff. But I'm against bikes intersecting and disrupting our churches because I'm a minister. I represent some of the churches in the city, and we do feel that it's about really sort of moving us out of the city. But this is what I want to ask. You mentioned after you hear these various things, you will make a decision, but there's a disconnect for me on the criteria that will go into what helps you to finally make your decision as to which option you would choose. I don't think I've heard that. That would help. Can you, will that come out? Because the study seems like it's ongoing.
Yep.
So-
Absolutely, that's a great question. The question for anybody who couldn't hear was about what criteria go into making the decision. That's some of what we would like to hear from folks. We'd like to discuss some of those things. So, we hear about parking impacts. We hear about potential traffic impacts. We also know that there are desires to have a safe and protected bike lane, and so looking at whether and how we can do that in a way that makes it safe and convenient. And I appreciate that folks here support biking overall in general. I think the pastor's comments that he would only feel safe doing that in the park is partly why we're looking at doing this study. Part of what the goal is to make it feel safe and comfortable for people to bike on the street that don't currently feel safe and comfortable doing that. So some of the criteria will be about bicycle safety, some of it will be about traffic impacts, some of it will be about parking impacts. And some of that is what we want to hear from folks about all of those things and what their concerns and what their how you would help us guide that discussion.
Are the criteria weighted? Are they all equally, are there weighted criteria? Will there be weighted criteria?
Not at this point. We're not putting our finger on the scale of any of those criteria. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I've been living in this area all my life. How long have bicycles been in the world? They've been riding bicycles through DC with no problem. With no problem. Now all of a sudden you need a bike lane. They may be in the bike lane, but they don't follow the rules. They do not follow the rules. You ran down in the street like you're supposed to.
And insurance.
You get ready to make a turn, they cut you off. But if you hit them and run over them, you're wrong. And like everyone else says, that's impeding on the church, folks. It really is.
I totally understand. I can take one or two more questions. I gotta say this. That doesn't mean that we will stop the dialogue. What it means is that the room is very full. We gotta allow folks to circulate, give us feedback, be able to have these conversations in smaller groups. The room is fuller than what the capacity will allow.
You want feedback? Here's feedback. All of those opposed to bike lanes on 6th Street, stand up. That's your feedback. Are you listening? Listen. Hear what we are saying. We don't want them on 6th Street. Not option 1 through 4. We want option 5. This is your feedback. Are you getting this visual? Are you hearing it? Are you recording it? We don't want bike lanes on 6th Street. No bike lanes! 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 I think I'm going to suggest that we allow folks to circulate, to ask questions. We will stay here and ask questions, but I'm not sure that we're going to make, I'm not sure how far this open question and answer is going to take us in that regard. And I really do think the room is very full. We got to start moving around a little bit.
If I might.
Let me just make this comment, if I may. There is a benefit in admitting that there has been an error. I think all of us as adults come to that point where we have to recognize we made an error. The room is too small. Don't let this be your last meeting. pick the United House of Prayer or the convention center with plenty of room, and then have a discussion where everybody can come. Don't use this as an excuse that you got to stop talking because the room is too small. Pick a bigger room. Is that all right? Pick a bigger room. Let's have this discussion again where everybody can be involved with microphones and we can talk. Because here is the thing that is so critical why you saw so many people stand. If bikes are not on 6th Street Northwest, it is not fatal to the bike program throughout the District of Columbia. It's not fatal. Bikes can continue to run all through the district. If the bike lanes come down 6th Street, it's fatal to the United House of Prayer.
And first rise,
It's fatal to the United House of Prayer. We can't survive with bike lanes with all of the activities that go on at the United House of Prayer. All of the churches. Galbraith, First Rise of Mount Zion, Springfield. We can't survive.
Okay, so the next time we have a meeting, we will look for a larger venue. That much is clear. And I gotta say it again. We have too many people. The library has told us we have too many people in this room. So I'm gonna have to stop here with the big group. I see that. I see the hand. You can ask one question.
So obviously, we have a north-south cycle track on 15th Street, and I'm assuming that you encountered some similar issues. I'm wondering if you could just explain, because when the gentleman said it's not fatal, I just got in a car accident on 6th Street. I got hit by a car while I was riding my bike. I broke my leg. And I'm not saying that that's everybody, like, it was an accident, right? And I can't say that the cycle track would have prevented it, but I can say that I would have felt a whole lot safer. And then when I lived in Mount Pleasant, I took 15th Street every single time I went downtown because I felt safe as a regular cyclist. And I'm also a driver because I own a car. But I felt safer, and I'm wondering if you could just quickly explain what happened on 15th Street so that you were able to get a protected cycle track, and how you accommodated the community's interests.
Sure. I actually, it predates my time at DDOT, so I'm not the best person to answer that. I can talk about what our experience has been in some other places around the district. Hold on. And these are the types of conversations that can continue after we're done. With me talking. So what I would say is we're at the point where we're trying to look at these 4 or 5 alternatives that we've started to lay out, but we don't have a full design for everything. We haven't, and part of what we're trying to understand from people's concerns and feedback is how could we avoid any of those, how can we take care of concerns in how we actually design a bike lane that meets everybody's needs. So we're not at the point yet of figuring out exactly how we would make it, how we would design it, what the details are, what accommodations we make on individual blocks or throughout the whole corridor. That happens a little bit later as we go through this process. So, sir, you've had a chance, and we will continue to talk. We can't keep the room like this.
If today is any indication of how you treat feedback, I gotta say I don't have much confidence in it. Because you're giving lots of feedback. You're being given feedback, but you're resistant to it.
I'm not resistant to any of the feedback I've heard tonight.
I think that not only are you resistant to it, but what you're suggesting as the alternative is impractical. If the room is too crowded for what we're doing now, it is certainly going to be too crowded for people to circulate, to absorb the information, to formulate an opinion, and write down comments. That, though well-intended, is certainly ill-informed. We can't do that. Everyone in this room has an interest. So if we end now and you tell us to circulate, how is that going to happen? They can't circulate. How long is that going to take? Might take this person longer to absorb this information. And in addition to that, your own words were that it took you a long time to grasp. If it took you a long time to grasp it. Certainly, we aren't going to grasp it circulating around the room like we're in an art gallery.
Have you considered placement of bike lanes in the center of roads so as to preserve diagonal parking? Let's be clear. I don't think anybody here is unaware of what's going on in the city. That's right. Everybody is aware of the changing dynamics. And I don't think that everybody is necessarily opposed to it. What we're opposed to is an infringement upon interests that have been here for a long time and have maintained this city. That's right. That's right.
Y'all just getting here.
Of those who are and have been here need to be considered as we talk about this, and perhaps center lane bike lanes in the center of the roads could preserve the diagonal parking and allow for people to peaceably exist.
Church lives.
That's not all. Sorry, Pastor Noel, it's good to see you. So the question was about bike lanes in the center. That's a bit of a challenge, but what I would say is a couple things in response to that. First is I think it's important for us to think about solutions, and if you have other thoughts about other ways to do this, that's partly why we're here too. If you've got feedback that says, you know, don't do this, but here's another idea, that's totally reasonable in this context. The second was about diagonal parking, and I would say that at this point we haven't made a determination about how any of these alternatives impact diagonal parking or don't impact diagonal parking.
Look at the chart.
So what the images show is how a typical day would be. What we don't know yet, and we won't know until we get a little bit further into how everything would lay out, is whether and how diagonal parking could be accommodated in any of the alternatives.
Right, and with all due respect, Sam, I think it's very clear that it can't be accommodated. And so let's just be realistic about what it is we're talking about. And also, and I'll just say this, let's not think that even the process is something that we're not going to be paying attention to. Because we're talking about a basic fundamental fairness proposition in terms of how today has taken place.
Absolutely.
I wanted to just ask, how can we trust the merits of your findings